What's up, psychos? Today we're going to talk about romances that are so angsty, they're gonna tear your heart out. Now, this video is going to span several subgenres within romance. I'm going to have some contemporary romance in here. I'm going to have some paranormal. I'm going to have some monster romance in here. So I've broken everything up into chapters below. You can kind of skip through and find the flavor of angst that is most in line with your preferences. But I've got a full range in here, so hopefully I'll have at least one rec for everybody. So I'm going to start with the inspo for this video, and that is Chasing Riddick. This is the original illustrated cover. I launched this, I think, oh my god, the way I can't remember my own launch date. I believe it was in June. I've recently released a discrete cover as well. This cover has a bonus chapter from Turtle's point of view. Turtle is Finn's best friend, and for the amount of readers' tears that I've collected for the end of this book, I do think Turtle's point of view chapter at the end of the discrete cover has helped with closure for a lot of people. So Chasing Riddick is a contemporary sports romance. The sport in question is surfing. If you don't know shit about surfing, no stress. I've got a full list of surf slang and terms at the front that you can reference if at any point you're like, what the hell is a cutback? It's right here. Now, for any of my besties who loved The Mercenary and the Mortician, I don't know if you've read this guy. I wrote this one as well. Finn could be Cal's younger brother. Like, he's very energetic, very ADHD. Finn is a little bit younger than Cal, so he's less experienced and he has quite a bit less trauma. He still has his trauma, don't get me wrong, but this book is not nearly as dark as The Mercenary and the Mortician. And I'm just saying, if you loved Cal as that like fun, energetic, sunshine character, you're gonna love Finn. Riddick, this is an age gap romance. The age gap is 17 years, so it's quite a bit of a stretch. And basically the premise is Finn hears about this beach called Leviathans. And this beach is rumored to have 20-foot waves. And as soon as he hears that, his hyperfocus snaps into place and he's like, I have to ride those waves. So Finn piles into his buddy's van, Turtle and Shelly, the van, and they drive across the country to California to find these waves. Now, all of the locals pretty much tell Finn he's crazy, do not surf these waves. Somebody died here literally like a year or two ago, just don't do it. But Finn's not having any of it. He's freaking determined, okay? He buys a little shack close to Leviathans and he starts training. One day, this attractive older man shows up on his beach and just starts surfing on his private beach. And he's like, buddy, what the hell? Like, you can't just surf on my beach. This man turns out to be Riddick, who is this like jaded, older surfer with like a lot of experience who's like, you are insane for surfing those. Like, did you not hear what happened here? Like, there was a tragedy. Somebody literally died. Finn convinces Riddick to train him to surf these waves. And the tension between these two it's hilarious. It's very like golden retriever and like black cat energy, but Riddick is also this very like caring and protective person in Finn's life, like as they get to know each other, and he becomes like obsessed with Finn's safety. Now there's a pretty big freaking twist in here that if you don't guess it, it's a little bit shell-shocking. And the ending is a unconventional HEA. It is still a happily ever after. They end up together and happy in the end, but it is just done in a different way than we're used to seeing. So just be prepared for that going in. And again, like I said, the discrete cover with the bonus chapter from Turtle's point of view, I think helps add a bit of closure to some people who might have struggled with the ending of it. But yeah, pretty much if you want to cry, like it looks all super fun, beach, summer fun on the cover, but this book made me cry writing it. Like I freaking saw. Next, I'm going to do a couple of standalones before I start getting into recs that are parts of series, so that if you just want to pick off one or two of them, you can jump right in. The next one I want to talk about is What We Broke by Marley Valentine. This book like shattered me. I freaking sobbed at the end, and this is, I think, the only book I've ever read in my reading career where we cover a couple that is married and their marriage is in crisis. So basically the book opens into a very tragic situation that this couple needs to endure, and it basically like ruins their marriage. Like one of the two men basically has like a full depressive episode over it, and he really struggles with his mental health and overcoming this tragic event that happens in the beginning of the book. And his husband is trying trying so hard to be there for him and to help him move through this crippling depression that is taking his husband away from him. And the whole book is them figuring out how to basically save their marriage. And it's just like, oh, my freaking heart. Like, I have chills just thinking about it. Highly recommend this book if you want to be all up in your feels. Then Oleander, if you've been following me for a while on any of my accounts, you know how much I love this freaking book. This book is a Great Expectations retelling. And I think for me, what makes this book so freaking angsty, like pulls on my heartstrings so freaking much, is Jude, who's telling the story, like it's first person narration. He almost like will open chapters and be like, so the first time that Caspian broke my heart. And you're just like, great. It's kind of like when somebody messages you and they're like, hey, we need to talk. And you just are waiting in anxiety for the conversation. You're just sitting there waiting for the whole chapter to be like, well, how did Caspian break our heart together with Jude today? Like, the whole book is like that. It's almost written with this understanding that Jude is telling the events that have already happened. So it's very, he foreshadows the pain and the angst so freaking much. This deals with like some serious, I would say grooming almost. So if grooming is a trigger, I would definitely be careful. Cheating is a trigger. I would be careful with this one, but if you can stomach those triggers, this is one of my top reads, I believe, of last year. Like, I would say it was top 5. I freaking loved this book. Next up is Head Above Water by C.E. Ricci. This book deals with grief. Okay, so any book that has heavy themes of grief, I just know going into it, my heart's gonna get broken. Literally on the back, the first word is grief. This is also a stepbrothers romance. I believe it's been a while since I've read this one. I just remember like wanting to throw the freaking book at the wall at the end because I was like so broken hearted. But this follows Cannon and Easton and their stepbrothers, and I believe Cannon's parents pass away and once they're like adult, and Easton's been like estranged from the family, and Easton finds out that the parents have passed and comes back to help Cannon deal with, you know, the funeral and all of that stuff. I believe that the parents actually like left that responsibility to Easton in their will, and Cannon is bitter about that because Easton hasn't been around. So when he comes back, there's a lot of like angry tension between them because Easton doesn't know the whole story. He feels abandoned by Cannon, and Cannon is there trying to set up this funeral for this family that he feels abandoned by. So it's very like, it's just the layers of grief and grieving and how there's no right or wrong way to grieve depending on how your relationship was with the deceased, I felt was covered extremely well in this book. So again, if you want to have your heart broken, if you want to get in your feels, if you need a good cry, 10 out of 10 recommend. I'm really hoping I didn't mix up their names. Again, like I said, it's been a while. I think I read that like the beginning of last year, so my bad if I fucked up if I mixed up the two names. Arguably the crown jewel of angsty romances would be Wrath by Ella James. This book, like I would love to do a reread of this book, but I find I'm always putting it off just because of how much it hurt to read it. The writing is incredible, and there's just like there's one part of this book where you literally flip a page and it's just like you're getting kicked right in the face. Like it is, I read it on my Kindle and then bought the physical, so I literally like turned my Kindle page and gasped and almost like literally threw it. I was just like like I felt like I'd been stabbed in the heart. This is, oh my fuck. This is another stepbrother romance, and it's between Ezra and Josh. Ezra is just, he has a lot of internalized homophobia, which, to be honest with you, sometimes I can't even read books with that theme. I think it was really well done in here, but there were some really rough moments where I was just like, Ezra, oh my fuck, stop. But Josh is just the sweetest little bean, and he helps dig through Ezra's really rough, hard, cold exterior and gets to the soft, ooey gooey insides, because Ezra is definitely a good person who's just been through some terrible shit. And I don't know, this book will always have a place in my heart. I also love how thick it is. I'm a big, like, I love big chunky books. I'm a fast reader, so longer series, big thick books, they don't scare me away. I know that's kind of like a barrier, I think, for some people, but this is definitely a book that you crack open and you sit down and you just dig into and get lost in this world because it's worth every single freaking page. Next up is Julia E. McColgan's Ruin My Life. Look at how pretty this freaking hardcover is. And this is the paperback. If you want angst, it's literally in the title, Ruin My Life. This quite literally ruined my life. I think what gets me the most about this one is because I know Julia personally. I'm aware that the story was inspired by real life events. What happened to win the MMC in this book was based off of something that happened in Julia's home state. She saw this story on the news and immediately was just like, that is the most horrible thing I've ever heard. So naturally, as authors do, decided to write a angsty ass book about it. This book is a second chance friends to lovers romance. It deals with very heavy themes such as like dealing with mental health, SA, and the recovery process. It's also dual timelines, so you jump back and forth from when they first met in high school to the present, and it's just like, this one is gonna pull at your freaking heartstrings. There's a couple of parts in here that are very difficult to read, so again, please always check your trigger warnings, but I think about these boys all the freaking time. I loved this book. So these next two recs are actually part of two different series. So obviously you should be reading the series first or you're going to be a little bit lost. If you've been following me for a while, you might have seen me talk about These Monstrous Deeds by TJ Hamill. I recommend you read these first three before we get into the ones that I'm going to recommend. So there's These Monstrous Deeds, A Dangerous Game, and then One Last Time. These are very, very dark. They deal with SEXTRAFFICKING. Hopefully I spelled that right. If you're keeping up with me, check triggers. Pretty much with any book I ever recommend, please check trigger warnings. I read a lot of dark stuff and I just kind of willy-nilly be slipping some dark shit usually into my rec videos. So just make sure you're taking care of your own mental health and doing your due diligence. These are dark. Be careful. But I would recommend reading these for the background before reading these next books. One sec. So these next three cover the other survivors that are saved from the trafficking ring that we cover in those first three books that I just mentioned. This is the first one, Drown in You. It covers Casey, who's Carter's buddy that we meet in the first three there. And it kind of happens somewhat along the same timeline as the other one. So we get like repeat scenes, but you get them from Casey's point of view as opposed to Carter's. I actually read this one first. And the whole time I was reading this, I was like, why do I feel like I should have read Carter's story somewhere, or I need Carter's story? And I had a bunch of people comment on a video that I posted on the Clock app being like, Alex, this is a spinoff. You need to read those first. That's why I'm being clear. Like, read those first before you dive into these. Now, as angsty as this one was, it was nothing compared to the next. So the next one is Pieces of Us. And then the final one is Piece Us Together. And these cover the romance between Mason, Nolan, and Hunter. So it is an MMM. Nolan is a survivor and Mason is an undercover agent that helped break apart the ring. But Mason is severely traumatized from what needed to be done to save Nolan from the ring. Hunter is just a civilian who's into the BDSM scene, and Hunter is the frickin' best. He's a dom who basically helps connect Mason and Nolan in their relationship, because Nolan is a sub and Mason is not a dom, so he was struggling to give Nolan what Nolan wanted, and that's why they kind of sought out Hunter and asked Hunter to help them connect sexually, I guess. Hunter helped so much more than that. Mason was totally avoiding the amount of emotional trauma that he was shoving it all down. He was being very creative in the ways that he performed self-harm, and it was just like heartbreaking. In the first three books, you kind of see Mason as like an external character from Carter's life, and he's honestly like not that likable. You're like, I fucking hate this guy. Then when you're in here and you're in Mason's head, I was tearing up reading how he thought about himself and how much pain he was in, and he was just like the epitome of somebody sitting in a crowded room screaming and nobody can hear him or knew. Hunter, I have like chills like talking about it. I need to reread these. Hunter was exactly what Mason needed to pull him out of that, basically. And by the end, he begins his healing journey, and Nolan and Hunter are there for him the entire time. And I just honestly, like, this whole series, like those three I've read multiple times, these ones, and then plus Drown in You. These are some of my favorite books of like all time. Like, I freaking love them. I cannot recommend these enough. Next, let's take a little detour into Monster romance land because I recently read the Monstrous series by Lily Mayne. It took me a while to dig into the series because I'm not really like a monster romance girl. No shade at all to monster romance readers. I just really didn't think it was for me. I didn't think it was something I would be into, but it just kept coming up and so many people kept recommending it to me. I was just like, you know what, Alex, fuck it. Like, you never know until you try. So I dove in and I'm so glad that I did. I freaking gobbled. I literally have Seraph up here on display, and this is actually the book that I'm going to recommend to you. Many books in this series were angsty, but Seraph specifically, wow. So Seraph was my favorite book in the series, and funnily enough, for somebody who was a little bit skittish about diving into monster romance, Seraph is the most monstery monster in the series. Like, he basically is like Venom, but he's also the sweetest little Venom that there ever freaking was. And Lilac is just this like quiet assassin who is just very touch him and die. Like, anybody who threatens poor sweet little baby Seraph can kiss Lilac's knife. Like, let me tell you. But I wasn't expecting in this series to hit me in the feels as much as it did. This book, I'm pretty sure I choked up and started crying multiple times. 3 or 4 times I probably was like just tears burning. I 110% freaking recommend this series. Even if you don't think you're a huge monster romance person, it was just amazing. The first book, Soul Eater by Lily Mayne, this was her debut. So another like really awesome thing about reading the series is watching her literally grow before your eyes as an author. Like, you see her writing style like mature and develop as you move from Soul Eater through each of the books. And like by the end, I was just kind of like, oh, I'm so glad I picked up this series. I freaking loved it. Also, another author that I know is very well known for writing the angst would be Jessie Walker. I've read Where There's a Will, There's a Way. These two as well too, very angsty. Again, this had the theme of like internalized homophobia, which is sometimes like a difficult one for me to swallow, but if you want high angst, let me tell ya, these two, add them to your TBR. I just started Exiled yesterday, so I'll be coming back and talking about that. We'll see how it goes, but I'm pretty excited about that one, and I feel like that one's about to rip my freaking heart to shreds as well too. So I'm excited about that. And if you guys have any recommendations for me on some new books that I can add to my TBR to shred me to pieces, because honestly, it's one of my favorite things about reading. Like, I love reading books that make me cry. Please drop them in the comments and let me know, and maybe I will stick them in the next video. Anyways, as always, thanks for coming, thanks for listening, and stay weird.